Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to, well, it's going to be a little confusing because I'm actually going to be running two channels now on YouTube. I'm going to have my NJ4K channel, which will be for basically for gaming and reviews, and I am getting back to reviews after my big move next week. And as of next week, I'm also doing a channel in which I'm concentrating on the news, politics and entertainment, because it seems to be something that a lot of you seem to be wanting me to do more of. However, I don't think NJ4K is the platform for that, so there will be another channel, Independent Mayhem Network. The link is in below. No videos there yet, but that's where I'm going to be. So I'll be here and I'll be there, but don't worry, I'll be doing the usual regular updates and gaming and reviewing on this channel as per always. It just means I'm going to have to double my workload now to make it worth it. So anyway, business. Super Tuesday was a very interesting day. Even the liberal channels didn't think that Bernie was going to get any more than at least 2 states yesterday. And it turned out that he got 4.5. I'm going to say 4.5 states, because whether you like it or not, Massachusetts was basically a dead tie. And now some of you might think that, considering that Hillary Clinton got 7 and as a result has more delegates than Bernie Sanders, that might be a bad thing. Actually, it's not. If Bernie had only got 1 or 2, there's absolutely no way he would have still been in the race. No matter how much he would pledge to have done so, it would have been a pointless run at this point. Basically, what Bernie Sanders did was almost kind of unthinkable at this point, especially given a recent scandal concerning the Clintons, which I will get to in a few moments. Basically, by gaining these 4 states in the South, Bernie Sanders has quite literally given himself one thing that Hillary Clinton no longer has: time and money. Now you have to think very hard about why this is very important and why this is hopeful for the Bernie Sanders campaign. I'm feeling the burn again. Remember my video yesterday? I almost lost it, not because of anything that Bernie was doing, but because of the defeatist attitude that the Bernie camp was having. It's come back. People are stoked about this. I'm no longer seeing half as many posts about who I'm going to vote for if Hillary Clinton gets the nomination. You see, this is the thing about that. There's absolutely no point in you telling me who you're going to be voting for if Hillary Clinton gets the nomination, because I know that the majority of you who are actually supporting Bernie Sanders are independents anyway. You're only registered Democrats because, well, that's just the way the system works. It shouldn't, but that's just the way it works. But anyway, I'm digressing here. Why is 4 states a good thing? Why is him having 233 to Hillary Clinton 700 delegates a good thing? Well, let me put it into perspective. Bernie Sanders has just passed through the Southern Wall. Basically, what that means is that if Hillary Clinton, if Super Tuesday was to mean anything to Hillary Clinton, she needed to take all of those states, save Delaware. That's what she needed to do. She wanted to make the real impact that she wanted to make. She wanted to make this sweeping victory that the media is claiming right now, and that's something else I'll get to on in a few minutes. She would have needed all 7 states to have pulled that off, and Bernie Sanders' race would have ended there, and Hillary Clinton would have been inaugurated the nominee for the Democratic for the Democratic presidential run. That didn't happen. Bernie Sanders has basically gone through his hardest battle. The South is his hardest battle because stereotypically and geographically, the South is conservative. A lot harder for someone like Bernie Sanders to actually break through. Now we're going into the territory that Bernie Sanders is used to. He's used to Chicago because he's a Chicago college boy. He's used to the North. He's used to California. He's used to all of these caucuses, and he knows the people. He knows how to deal with them. He knows how to talk to them. And as a result, even the media can no longer afford to ignore Bernie Sanders. CNN yesterday literally admitted Bernie Sanders is a very serious contender.
Oklahoma, Colorado, and Minnesota. 4 states indeed. This is a significant moment. I got to tell you, Jake and Dana, as we're looking at this Democratic contest, the delegate count, John King just laid it out. This is a race. This is a contest between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. It's by no means over.
Absolutely not. And certainly Bernie Sanders, with the money that he raised last month, as has been pointed out, and the fact that he is winning states, including, most recently, you just called Minnesota and Colorado, 2 states that Hillary Clinton did not win 8 years ago, by the way. Bernie Sanders able to win them tonight.
Nobody's done that before. Nobody has done that before. Even Rachel Maddow, God bless her soul, didn't even go so far as to say that Bernie Sanders was a serious contender. Now she has absolutely no choice but to turn around and say that that Bernie Sanders is a serious contender. Bernie Sanders actually has a real good chance at the Democratic presidential nomination. She can't escape that. Unfortunately for Rachel Maddow, whatever her liberal biases might be, she works for MSNBC, a channel that is no longer liberal. A channel, I might add, that literally hired one of Ted Cruz's biggest liars not so long as yesterday to replace one of their most liberal pundits. Now, earlier on, I mentioned MSNBC. I mentioned the networks and what it is they're spouting about Hillary Clinton's undeniable victory. And to make no mistake, it was a victory for Hillary Clinton. There's no I am not even going to begrudge her that. Even Bernie Sanders knew that this was going to happen. I don't think that he knew that he was going to get half the victory that he expected. So that was probably a really big surprise for him as well. But this is huge as far as Bernie Sanders is concerned. Not quite as huge for Hillary Clinton as the media pundits are trying to spread out. And the reason I know this is because I have inside sources. I had information regarding this, that the MSNBC were already planning to spout what a huge thing this was for Hillary Clinton. They knew the numbers before it even came out. Unfortunately for them, they didn't expect half the defeat that she got. I mean, and to put it into another perspective for you, yeah, he got Colorado. They were expecting that he would get Colorado by 11%. He got Colorado by nearly by 18%, nearly 19%. That wasn't just a small leap. That's a tremendous leap of 8 to 9% in the polling data. And so something went wrong for the Hillary Clinton campaign. Getting on to Massachusetts. Massachusetts is the state that I refer to as the half states out of 4.5. And the reason I do this is twofold. It was very, very close. It was extremely close. The thing is, though, is that I think that the Clintons knew it was a lot closer than they're actually going to admit. I mean, don't you find it a huge coincidence that Bill Clinton decided that that would be a good day and a good time to actually go touring the polling stations? There's a law in Massachusetts that forbids that anybody is allowed to do that within 150 yards of the polling station. Yet, that's exactly what Bill Clinton did in 4 different locations. And he did go into the polling stations. He did make speeches at the polling stations. Now, you may argue that, he's not campaigning, he's just going to have a look. Really? You're telling me that the former president of the United States decided that, I think I'll go take a stroll and take a look at the polling stations. It won't cause any disruption. It won't cause anybody to be influenced to come out to the polls just to come and visit me and then vote because I happen to be there. I'm not a walk-in advertisement. You really think that? If you do, then you are very, very naive. And believe me, that's the politest thing I can say about it. So, yes, he did. He literally did do something pretty corrupt. And if you don't believe me, here's a side-by-side comparison as to what happened video-wise.
Thank you all for being here.
Can you reach up and snap a
Thank
picture?
you all for participating.
Thank you. All you have to do is hit the circle.
I especially thank those of you who are supporting Hillary, but we ought to give the others a round of applause too. Yeah! And we thank you all. More feel this way. You know, I got the backwards here. I'm trying to get the face. Give the chair around this way.
All right, let me know if you need any help with anything. All right, I'll take care of it. All right, no problem.
He was just standing right there.
Give or take an hour.
He went up there, up there to,
I haven't seen one person be able to come in and be able to vote in here. It's completely blocked off. No cars can park here. They are affecting the voting at this poll. It's ridiculous.
And it was actually red.
This should be fraud and illegal.
Yeah, because I already went to vote. I went on roll.
From one side of the street to the other, there's no way anybody can get down here. My dad would never make it to this poll, and this is ridiculous.
As you can see, people are actually unable to go into the polling station for nearly 2 hours because of this. That's big, okay? Some of these people have to go back to work. Bill Clinton and the mayor knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing. And what makes it better for the Bernie side is that there's a petition on change.org demanding his arrest. We know the arrest will never happen, but let me tell you something. What makes it so much more beautiful for me is that this petition was only up for 6 hours and it already got 14,000 signatures. It's now 24 hours later and we're nearly at the 50,000 signature range. That shows a hell of a lot of anger on behalf of the voting community. And it's not just the Bernie Sanders voters that are angry about it. It's everyone else. Because it wasn't just Democratic polling that they affected there. The Democratic polling that they could have affected there. What if this was a caucus in which the Republicans and the Democrats were voting in? Because if I remember correctly, Massachusetts wasn't one of them. If I'm wrong, then yeah, that makes things even worse. I'm going to have to research that. But just imagine, it was the Republicans as well. And even people who wanted to vote for Hillary were pretty pissed off that Bill Clinton did that. It was totally disrespectful to the voting base. So judging at the final results of the Massachusetts caucus, Hillary Clinton knew that the race in Massachusetts was far closer than it needed to be. And it didn't pay off for her. Because even though she won Massachusetts, it was almost a dead tie. And it probably would have been a dead tie. Again, splitting the delegates in half. One gets a little bit more than the other. Maybe one more than the other. But what that shows is that Hillary Clinton's stride in the South has been pretty much lackluster, and the only way she could keep it to a minimum was to send out the heavy tanks. And the heavy tanks was basically corruption. Nobody's going to arrest President Clinton. We know that. But the whole point of this petition is basically to turn around and say to the Clintons, that's going to be a lot of wagging tongues. The whole world is now looking at you, Hillary Clinton, and at what your husband does. Dirty politics doesn't work anymore with these people. This is an example of the revolution. This is an example of the people saying we will not be screwed over. So yeah, it's been a fantastic night. I can't say it's been any better. Now we're going into the northern states, we're going into California. And this is where it gets very interesting. This is where Bernie Sanders can actually make his gain, his liberal message, his progressive message really heard. The last I heard, California, with 495 delegates in play, is a pretty liberal place. The fight is now on as far as Hillary Clinton is concerned, and she knows it. Now, I can guarantee you a couple of things. We're not going to hear any more about her liberal stance on guns, because, believe it or not, she doesn't have it. She doesn't have a liberal stance on guns. All of a sudden, she's gone quiet on Black Lives Matter. A lot she's going to be going quiet on. She's going to be changing her message just to get these, just to get these votes in. And if people aren't offended by this at that point, I don't know what else to tell you. The reality is she's going nowhere. I'm not saying that Bernie Sanders can definitely win the presidency. I'm not saying that Bernie Sanders can definitely win the nomination. I am saying that whether Hillary Clinton likes it or not, she has got a hell of a fight in her hand. And I am saying without a shadow of a doubt, we, the people, and Bernie Sanders has an excellent chance of winning the White House. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, ciao.